The world remembers Jayne Mansfield for the platinum hair, the curves, the towel scene that scandalized Broadway. Nobody remembers that she was a trained violinist who tested at a near-genius IQ. And nobody talks about the 3-year-old girl asleep in the backseat the night it all ended. A girl who grew up to spend her whole life running from her mother's shadow before finally turning around to tell her story. She was born Vera Jane Palmer in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania in 1933. She married at just 17, and by the time she arrived in Hollywood at 21, she was already a wife and a young mother. 20th Century Fox built her up as a rival to Marilyn Monroe, marketing her as the next great blonde bombshell. In 1955, she was named Playboy's Playmate of the Month, and on Broadway, her performance in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter won her a Golden Globe. But the industry never let her be more than the body they'd built. Studios pushed her into increasingly exploitative B-movies as the decade wore on, ignoring the sharp, disciplined musician underneath the platinum hair. The New York Times could have asked the same question they later asked about her rival. Was there anyone taking her seriously at all? On June 29, 1967, Mansfield was riding through the Louisiana night after a nightclub performance in Biloxi, heading to a television appearance in New Orleans. The car struck the back of a trailer truck. She was killed instantly, along with her boyfriend and their driver. A myth spread for decades that she had been decapitated in the crash. It wasn't true, but the rumor outlived the real story for years. She was only 34. Her estate was left buried in debt, with nothing for the 5 children she'd raised. 3 of those children were asleep in the back seat that night and survived with only minor injuries. The youngest was a 3-year-old girl named Mariska. Mariska Hargitay grew up mostly without her mother, raised by her father and stepmother, carrying a name that came with a legacy she didn't choose. She spent years quietly distancing herself from the sex symbol image the world had built around Jayne. Then she found her own spotlight, playing Olivia Benson on Law and Order, Special Victims Unit for over 2 decades, becoming a symbol of empathy for survivors of trauma. In 2004, she founded the Joyful Heart Foundation to support survivors of sexual assault and abuse. In 2025, she finally turned the camera the other way, directing a documentary about the mother she barely got to know, searching for the real woman behind the persona the world had flattened her into. Jayne Mansfield spent her whole career being reduced to an image. It took her daughter, decades later, to finally give her back the rest of the story.